Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today's video, the Lexus is getting attention. So, seen it for a few years now on the owners pages. A lot of people talk about the throttle body mod. It's supposed to help with response. What I'll do is I'll turn the car on. I'll show you. It's very lazy. Bearing in mind this was supposed to be a luxury vehicle back when they came out, so everything is generally a bit lazier, but obviously we want to drift the car, we need a bit more response. So I'm hoping you can hear me. We've got the car running. Gonna try and get it warmed up a wee bit, show you what I mean by how it's quite a lazy response anyway. Obviously with drifting you're kind of on and off throttle a lot, so you want, if you're pushing the pedal, you want it to do what you're trying to do, whereas with the Lexus, it might be hard to pick up on video, but from my understanding of watching other videos and stuff, the throttle body is like half electric, so doesn't actually fully open on the cable driven part. So what we're essentially trying to do in today's video is to split down the rollers assembly, I guess, and kind of fudge it back together in such a way that when you push the pedal and the cable pulls, it's going to pull the whole thing open instead of maybe 10-15%. But we can get into that more when I've got it off to show you. First off, we've got a bit of stripping to do. So to get the throttle body off, we obviously need all the air filter stuff off. So what I'll do is I'll pop these up on the tripod, get a wee time lapse on the go, and get it all off. So now you've got the air filter section off, time to get the throttle body out. So you've got two screws here that hold the cable on. You get the cable off of, I don't know what you call it, the actuator, sounds about right. You've got two hoses just here, a couple of plugs, and then your four main bolts. So get them off, get it off. I'll try and find something I can set it up on and explain properly what we're actually doing. So, throttle body's out now. I did forget this wee bit. You need to take a bolt off the side of it and finagle it out. But now I can explain what we mean. So, obviously your cable's attached onto this part. When you press the pedal and the cable goes, that's the maximum that's coming. So that's maybe 10-15% open at the most. And then what happens is the electrics kick in and move this one, which then allows the whole thing to open. Once it's out of the car, you've got a 12mm nut here. Get that off, and then I don't know if I can do this one-handed, but you want to, hold on, a bit of a struggle one-handed. Pull your cable driven part off. So what everyone then says to do, get a big washer, fire that on there, and then take this and somehow one-handed fingle it back on. Once you've got that back on, which we might need to do a bit of chapping to get it further. Had to go two-handed, but nuts now back on, and the biggest difference is you'll notice just off of the cable one, that is now fully open. So There's a few other things to note. A lot of people say cut this arm. The way I'm doing it right now is off a video I found where the chap explained this is a way where you can actually go back to stock. So what we've still also got to do is these springs. He also had a bit of bother doing this one-handed, but you more or less need to get these off so that they're out as well. Get them off the metal, and these two plugs don't go back in. This one, of course, you do. Once these are not plugged back in, you will get traction completely disabled, snow light will be on and an engine light will be on apparently. Doesn't bother me because obviously the car's only going to be getting used for one thing, but it is something to note if you are having a road car. The other thing to note as well is this will affect cold start idle, and when your aircon's on, can all be adjusted through the idle screws, which I might, once it's back on the car, I'll see how it is, but it's just something to bear in mind. So what I'm going to do now is going to have a look about and see if I can find some brake cleaner, get it cleaned up before we go back in the car, because while something like this is off, if you don't clean it, you're an idiot. So get it cleaned up, get it back on, build it all back up, and see what kind of difference it's made. So we're all bolted back up, coolant pipes on, those two plugs left unplugged, that one back in, cables on, and what you'll notice most is just going off that first runner, everything's opening up. So get the airbox back on, turn the car on, and we'll go for there. So we are all back together, running as expected. We have AML and a flashing traction light. See if there's any difference. Much better. So you'll have noticed on that last clip there, as I was revving it, it just stalled out. Had a bit of a panic station, stopped, took a breather, came back to it. Went into the comments of the video I had watched, and a couple of people said they had the same issue with the car dying out after 4,000 RPM. Can I look for a solution? A few people said certain cars are okay with the way that I had previously done it there that you've seen. Other cars need to basically kind of redo it. So the arm that I said some people cut, well, we had to cut that. Basically what you need to do in that situation, if your car's going to die out over 4,000 RPM, or just do it this way anyway if you're not planning on going back to stock with it. Cut the arm off, the section with the springs that we done, like when you take the springs off, cable tie that open, and then you're sorted from there. So again, we get the air filter and everything buttoned up. I am going to play with the idle screws. As much as I said I was going to leave it, it turns out an IS200 with an exhaust idling at 2,000 RPM is not nice. So we'll get the idle screws sorted out, build up the air filter, and we're sorted. So airbox and everything's back on now, and now you can hear it. It doesn't die out after 4,000, but when you press the pedal, responsive, does what you want it to do, and doesn't die out after 4,000 RPM. As I said, still to sort out the idle screws. I'm going to try and adjust that now, see if I can get it idling a bit better. And then fingers crossed, we're one step closer to a day of testing. And just like that, idle screws are adjusted. It no longer sounds overly obnoxious, and sitting around kind of 1,200, 1,300-ish. So when you adjust the idle screws like that, there is supposed to be a kind of small issue with idling on cold starts. You can obviously just counter that by holding the pedal. As said, I don't use this every day, so it doesn't overly bother me needing to hold the pedal for a minute or two on a cold start because I'm taking it out anyway. But that's that done. Next video, we're going to try and get the interior, where am I pointing? The interior sorted out. I need to make a decision whether I'm going to go with the red harnesses or the blue harnesses, get all that finalised, and then sort out some front wheels, hopefully get it out for a skid somewhere. So keep an eye out. I'm going to try and get more regular with these videos. Obviously I just have to try and keep it stuff I can do while my back's in a state, but we're getting somewhere. Progress is being made, videos are back. Turn on notifications and that, and obviously you'll know when it's up. Cheers.